It was just past 9 p.m. when Claire Marshall heard the knock. Not the kind of knock you get from a friendly neighbor dropping off cookies, or even a door-to-door salesman. This one was slow, controlled. Like someone rehearsing power, Claire paused in the hallway. Baby Eliana nestled in her arms. She turned toward the door, glanced through the peephole, and felt a chill run down her spine. Two men stood on the porch wearing polo shirts with embroidered HOA logos, clipboards in hand, and poorly concealed radios clipped to their belts. They looked like they belonged to Much So. The kind of clean-cut image that felt manufactured. The taller one smiled as if he knew her. "Evenin', ma'am," he said smoothly. "We're from the Homeowners Association Security Division. Just doing a late-night safety check. Someone reported an unfamiliar vehicle prowling the area. Mind if we step in for a quick inspection?" Claire's pulse spiked. She knew everyone on the HOA board and they didn't have a security division. Especially not one doing surprise inspections at night. She kept her expression calm, but her instinct screamed, wrong. "I appreciate the concern," she said slowly, shifting Eliana to her other arm. "But we're all good here. I'll call our board president to follow up." The shorter man gave a half smile, but his jaw twitched. "No need, ma'am. We're on record. Just a formality. You have 30 seconds to comply." Or Claire didn't wait. She shut the door. In their faces, locked the deadbolt, then slid the security latch in place. Her hands trembled slightly as she turned away, but she didn't panic. She acted. She walked straight to the hallway cabinet, pulled out a hidden drawer, and grabbed the emergency sat phone. Her fingers moved fast, entering the pre-coded message. Code Gray. Home breach. Infant present. That message reached one man, Logan Marshall, her husband, father, and a Navy SEAL instructor with more combat experience than most teams combined. Miles away. In an isolated training facility deep in the desert, Logan saw the message flash across his screen. He dropped his training rifle, yanked off his headset, and was already moving before anyone could ask why. Claire stood silently, cradling her baby. Ears perked. Her heart thumped loud enough to hear. She checked the Ring doorbell camera through. Her phone offline. Disabled. That's when fear finally tried to claw its way in. But she buried it. She had to stay sharp. Eliana's small breath against her neck reminded her of what was at stake. In the kitchen, she noticed the back porch light flicker once, twice, then go out. She checked the windows still locked. But when she passed the nursery, her breath caught. The window was open. She hadn't opened it. Her stomach dropped. Suddenly, the baby monitor she had clipped to her shirt blinked, read a sign of motion. In the crib, only Eliana was in her arms. Claire crept toward the nursery and peeked inside. It looked untouched, but the crib's blanket was moved slightly, not folded. Shifted. She turned, grabbed her phone again, and that's when it began to speak, a distorted voice crackling through the baby monitor speaker. "Give us the infant, and no one gets hurt." Claire froze. Then she heard a car engine. Down the street. A familiar growl. Logan's truck. He was home. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She turned toward the front door with her daughter pressed tightly to her chest. Because she knew one thing. The men who came to that porch pretending to be from the HOA, they just made the deadliest mistake of their lives. Logan didn't knock. He didn't need to. He moved like a ghost, entering through the side door where Claire had disabled the alarm just long enough to let him in. His boots didn't make a sound on the hardwood floor. The moment he stepped inside, the energy in the house shifted. Claire handed him their daughter without saying a word. Her face was pale, jaw tight, but her eyes were clear-focused. "The window," she whispered. "Nursery. Opened by someone else." Baby monitor spoke. Logan's brow tightened. He cradled Eliana gently in one arm, brushing a thumb over her cheek, then handed her back and pulled Claire close for a second. A silent exchange. No panic. No drama. Just years of understanding compressed into one breath. Then he moved. In under 3 minutes, Logan swept the house. He checked every entry point, secured the nursery, then took the baby monitor apart with surgical speed. Inside was something it should have never had. A transmitter chip not made for retail units. Military grade. Someone had modified it to send audio out. It wasn't a threat. It was surveillance. Someone's been listening to us for days. Logan said flatly. Maybe weeks. Claire's hand covered her mouth. What do they want? Logan didn't answer. Instead, he flipped open a laptop, plugged in the chip, and ran a local sweep using a secure decoding software he developed while working Black Ops. Claire watched him type, then pace, then type again. Every movement was methodical, precise. Not just a seal, but a man who'd seen what most people never even imagined in their nightmares. Signals bouncing through a dummy server. He muttered. Someone built a spoofed HOA network. Not city registered. Not traceable through public files. But here's the kicker, they're transmitting on HOA frequencies. That means they're posing as real board members, Claire finished. Horrified. They're deeper in this neighborhood than we thought. Then his screen beeped. A small satellite image blinked onto the display. A white van, parked just down the street 2 blocks over, seemingly innocent. But the signal was stronger there. Too strong. Logan's voice dropped lower. They're watching us right now. Claire stepped back. We need to leave. No, Logan said, calm as stone. We stay. We bait them. Her eyes widened. With Eliana. With me? He opened a locked footlocker hidden beneath the staircase and retrieved a duffel one that hadn't seen the light of day since his last classified deployment. Inside, a collapsible drone, a headset, a loaded Sig Sauer, and enough tech to stage a small war. Claire tightened her grip on the baby. You're going after them, aren't you? Logan nodded. But first, I need to know why they want her. This isn't random. It's surgical. He looked back at the nursery, at the blanketed crib, at the silent monitor now resting on the counter like a dead bird. Then he said it. This isn't about money. It's about revenge. Claire's voice cracked. From who? Logan didn't answer immediately. He looked down at a small scar on his forearm, the faded remnant of a mission gone sideways in Kandahar. A name he hadn't heard in years surfaced in his mind. A man who vanished before trial. A man with reasons to hate him. That man was also on an old suspect list flagged by SEAL Intel as possibly embedded in U.S. suburbia under aliases. Could it be? Before he could process it, the house lights flickered again. This time, not just the back porch. Every room dimmed and then went black. Total outage. Claire gasped. Logan. From the baby monitor speaker long dead came one final message. Next time, we don't knock. Logan stood still, the darkness around him thick, silent. The kind of silence that only came before a storm. And then he spoke, barely above a whisper. Then next time, you don't walk away. Logan Marshall didn't sleep that night. He didn't need to. He'd spent years training America's most elite warriors in the art of asymmetric warfare. How to dismantle entire networks without being seen. The men watching his house, they thought this was just another suburban scare. Maybe even a bluff. They had no idea they were now being hunted. By 3 a.m. Claire and baby Eliana were safely relocated, driven out of state by one of Logan's most trusted former teammates under deep cover transport protocols. Claire protested, but Logan had been firm. If they wanted the baby, they'd never get a second chance. Not with him in play. Alone now, Logan sat on the rooftop in a ghillie poncho, scanning the street with thermal binoculars. 2 blocks down, the white surveillance van was still there. No movement. No rotation. To clean. To patient. That's what gave them away. He noted the time, then activated the microdrone he'd assembled on his kitchen table hours earlier. The tiny quadcopter flitted into the night like an insect, high and silent, feeding back live video through Logan's modified headset. It crept up behind the van and hovered just inches above the roof. Inside, 2 men. Military posture. One scanning an infrared tablet, the other casually flipping through printed files photos of Eliana. Logan's teeth clenched. This wasn't amateur hour. These were operators, men trained like him, but not government. Rogue. Contract ghosts. He recognized the body language, the muscle memory. Suddenly, the drone feed glitched. A jamming signal. They knew he was watching. The van's back doors swung open. One man stepped out and looked straight up, directly at the drone. Smiled. Gave a slow thumbs up mocking. Then turned toward Logan's house and tapped twice on his earpiece. And just like that, the van peeled off into the night. Logan didn't panic. He started prepping. They'd made the second mistake of the night, thinking distance gave them safety. But Logan knew something they didn't. He had someone on their signal already. Mac, his old SEAL teammate turned digital hunter. Logan had pinged him earlier with a snapshot of the spoofed HOA frequency, and Mag had been tearing it apart from a bunker lab deep in Utah. And now the call came in. They're not just watching you. Mac's voice crackled through the encrypted line. They're part of a rogue private contractor ring. Name's Resolute. Old ties to Yemen. Then, domestic shadow work. The guy in charge might be your old ghost Vin Richter. Logan froze. Vin Richter wasn't just a ghost from his past. He was the ghost. A man Logan had taken down during a classified takedown in Helmand, then watched vanish from custody too. Years later with help from corrupt handlers. It was Logan's testimony that buried Resolute's operations, but Vin was never found. Until now. Why my daughter? Logan asked flatly. Mag paused. Leverage. Revenge. Or worse, testing you. They want to know how far you'll go. Maybe even draw you out. Logan stood in the hallway, eyes cold. Then they're about to get their answer. He walked to the nursery, slowly. Looked at the crib. Empty now, but sacred. Then he pulled the baby monitor cord and rewired it into a transmitter. He wasn't just going to fight back. He was going to turn their own surveillance against them. He recorded a message. You came for my child. Now I come for you. Then he activated the feed and let it loop, broadcasting on the same signal they'd used. The bait was set. The next morning, the neighborhood buzzed like nothing ever happened. Joggers moved past picket fences. Lawn sprinklers ticked away. A golden retriever barked at a squirrel. But Logan knew it was all a mask. Just a well-trimmed trap built to keep people complacent. And within it, something venomous thrived. He had spent the early hours camouflaging the perimeter, setting up sensors, and planting micro cameras along the streets, each one disguised inside bird feeders, solar lights, and even garden gnomes. He wasn't just waiting for an attack. He was recording every inch of it. They wanted a war on his doorstep. He would give it to them, but on his terms. That afternoon, a man from the HOA approached. His name was Gerald Tanner. He had a neat mustache, a clipboard, and a generic smile that never quite reached his eyes. Gerald was the kind of guy who liked enforcing mailbox heights and grass blade lengths. He'd always seemed harmless. But today, Logan looked closer. Gerald was wearing a different watch. A tactical Casio military issue. His left sleeve had a faint mark where a patch had been removed, and he referred to Claire by name before Logan mentioned her. Logan smiled back. He let Gerald speak. Let him mention the HOA's new private safety oversight committee and how they'd be increasing patrols in light of a suspicious character walking around late at night, a character who sounded suspiciously like Logan himself. Gerald handed over a flyer. It wasn't printed by the HOA. Logan could tell from the fontorial narrow with odd spacing, common in low-bid counterintelligence mock-ups, meant to appear formal but created fast. Appreciate the update, Logan said with a nod. I'll be watching closely. Gerald hesitated. We all are, Mr. Marshall. As he walked away, Logan slipped the flyer into a scanner connected to his tablet. Embedded near the footer was a QR code encrypted, faint, invisible to the eye. He decrypted it. And there it was, a route map. Not of the neighborhood, but of access points, drains, sewers, crawl spaces. Ways to breach homes undetected. 3 homes had red circles on them. His was one of them. The other 2. Both had infants under 1 year old. This wasn't isolated. It was systemic. He called Mac again. We're looking at a pattern. My family wasn't the first target. Mac was silent for a long second. You're right. I just cross-referenced other baby monitor hacks within the same zip code cluster. 4 cases. To missing infants, both cases went cold. Media spun them as parental negligence. Where were their homes? Mac uploaded coordinates. Logan punched them into his GPS. All within Resolute's old known operational radius. All tied to HOA zones with flimsy leadership and fake security councils. It was organized. It was deliberate. And worst of all, it was working. Logan's jaw tightened. We end it now. That night, he staged a fake departure. He packed the truck, turned on the driveway lights, then drove off. But he wasn't going far. He looped around, parked in the shadows, and returned on footgear in tow. Thermal goggles active, surveillance drone above him. Claire's voice came through the headset. Are you sure they'll take the bait? They think I'm gone. They think the house is soft again. They'll come. Inside, Claire followed the plan. She held a decoy baby doll in her arms and left one upstairs light on. It had to look vulnerable. At 2:17 a.m., the motion sensors triggered. Logan's drone captured 4 figures to scaling the neighbor's privacy wall. 2 approaching from the rear alley, each wore HOA jackets, each moved with precise coordination. Silenced pistols. Infrared visors. They didn't knock. They breached. But what they didn't know? The front door handle had been electrified. The floor rigged with thermal tripwires. And Logan? Logan was already inside. They came in silent, 4 of them. Boots barely scuffed the floor. The front team moved through the kitchen. The back team circled toward the nursery. Each man carried suppressed weapons. And stun cuffs, not to kill, to take. They wanted the baby alive. But what they entered wasn't a nursery. It was a kill box. Logan crouched just behind the staircase, watching through a hidden fiber cam as the lead intruder reached for the doorknob. His gloved hand made contact. Hand suddenly arched back as 90,000 volts of electricity surged through him. The man spasmed, crashing backward into his partner. From the ceiling, a concussive flashbang dropped, triggered by Logan's sensor grid. It detonated in a blinding blast of light and thunder, non-lethal, but disorienting. The 2 rear agents screamed, disoriented, ears ringing. One dropped his weapon. The other tripped a second trap, a spike mat concealed beneath the nursery rug. He didn't scream this time. He just fell and bled. Logan moved. He launched from the shadows, sweeping low. A hard elbow to the jaw dropped the first man. He rolled, seized the second by his collar, and yanked him into a wall, knocking him cold. By now, the team at the back door had realized something was wrong. They backed off, but Logan was already there. He slipped through the hall, silent as smoke flanking them. One of the men turned just in time to see a black-gloved fist driving into his throat. The last one ran bursting through the sliding glass door, sprinting toward the street. He didn't make it far. Logan tapped a remote on his belt. A trapwire popped up across the side gate and the runner flipped forward mid-stride, crashing headfirst into the grass with a dull crack. All four men neutralized. Logan dragged them into the living room, zip-tied their wrists, taped their mouths, and activated a jammer. Phones, radios, everything blacked out. These weren't street thugs. Their gear was high grade, their tactics precise, and yet they had been dismantled in under 2 minutes. He checked their pockets, nothing with names, but one man had a key fob. Black military issue. Logan scanned it with his decryptor. Vin Richter's code. Phantom Logan stared at the name. The old ghost was no longer hiding. He stood over the restrained men, staring them down, one by one. "You're not just taking kids," he said quietly. "You're testing response times, patterns. You're mapping weakness." One of the men groaned through the tape. Logan ripped it off. "You're already dead," the man spat. "He's coming. And when he does, you'll wish it ended tonight." Logan didn't blink. "He's not coming. I'm going to him." He grabbed the man's earpiece and inserted it into his own. "Vin," he said calmly, "you sent your best. They failed. I have them. I have everything. You're exposed. You've got one chance." Silence. Then static, and a voice, dark and smooth. Logan, still the same ghost. Still playing hero in a world that doesn't want you. Logan spoke. Evenly. "You put a tracker on my baby's blanket. You put a chip in a toy. You weaponized a suburban system meant to protect. This isn't retribution. This is cowardice." Vin's laugh was low, twisted. "She's not a baby. She's a message. You burn my world down, Logan. Now I'll burn yours slowly. One scream at a time." Then click. The line went dead. Logan stood still, but not for long. He turned, grabbed his gear, and called Mac. Traced that call. Now, Mac was already on it. Got it. Pinged off a repeater near the old Southridge HOA clubhouse. That property was condemned. Years ago. Logan strapped on his vest, locked and loaded. Then that's where this ends. The old Southridge HOA clubhouse sat like a corpse on the edge of the subdivision, abandoned, fenced, ignored. Most residents passed it without a glance. Just a remnant of a failed neighborhood expansion. But Logan saw what others didn't. It was the perfect blind spot. Mac's coordinates had narrowed the signal to within 50 feet. Vin Richter had chosen this spot for a reason, but he underestimated one thing Logan didn't charge into battle. He dissected it. By the time Logan arrived, it was past midnight. No lights, no patrols. Just that eerie stillness, the kind that clings to air right before something explodes. He climbed the fence, boots silent on gravel. His thermal scope swept the yard. One body heat signature guard, lazy posture, facing away. A rookie mistake. Logan dispatched him quickly, silently. Inside the clubhouse, the air was stale. Water damage had blackened the walls. The floor creaked like dying wood under every step. But deeper inside, down in the basement, the temperature dropped. And there, behind a rusted steel door, was something Logan didn't expect. A full surveillance center. LED monitors buzzed faintly on emergency battery packs. Dozens of screens. Each showed footage from different homes, front yards, bedrooms, cribs, infants. Claire's face appeared on one feed. She was at a motel, just as planned. Eliana in her arms, safe. But the camera was still on them. They were still being watched. He moved to a control panel. The wall had names, addresses, status codes. Some said acquired, others failed. His hands shook, not from fear, from rage. Then he heard it a creak above. Footsteps. He rose from the console and waited. The steel door opened. And Vin Richter walked in, older, hardened, wearing a press suit under body armor, like he was ready for war or a press conference. His face hadn't changed. That smug confidence, the eyes of a man who thought he'd already won. Logan, he said, almost warm, still clinging to righteous crusades. Logan didn't answer. He didn't move. He just stared. Vin walked, closer, slow, and measured. You wrecked my career, my network, my future. All for a bunch of pencil pushers in DC. You could have joined me. You tried to sell kids. Logan said, you think that's a future? Vin laughed. They were assets, untapped leverage. You don't win wars by playing fair. Logan reached into his vest pocket and tossed something at Vin's feet, a pacifier. Vin's smile vanished. I found the tracker in that, Logan said quietly. You put it there, which means this was personal. Vin's tone sharpened. She's yours, isn't she? The one thing you actually care about. That baby is my guarantee, my message, proof that I can still reach you. Even now. Logan stepped forward. You reached me, now I'm reaching back. The lights flickered. From outside came the thump of boots. Explosives. Logan had called in the rest of his team. Vin's eyes widened. You brought others, you broke protocol. I didn't. Bring soldiers, Logan cut in. I brought the people you sold out. The ones whose children never came home. Suddenly, the door behind Vin blew open. Smoke filled the hall. Logan moved first, slamming Vin into the wall, disarming him in seconds. They fought hard blow for blow. Vin was fast, trained. But Logan was faster. A snap at the elbow, a hard knee to the ribs, a punch to the throat. Vin dropped, breathing, but finished. Logan stood over him, bleeding from the lip, heart pounding. You're not a ghost, he said. You're just a man who forgot who he was up against. Logan stood over Vin Richter's unconscious body, chest heaving in the flickering emergency light. Dust danced in the haze, swirling through the collapsed wall where his team had breached. They moved fast, clearing the bunker, checking doors, scanning screens. But something was wrong. No infants, no hostages, just wires, cameras, and hard drives. A shadow operation, not the final nest. Logan grabbed Mac's voice over the comms. There's no one here. It's a dead site. Mac responded, without pause. I know. I just pulled a thermal trace from the stolen HOA servers you retrieved. There's a second property just off the books. Utility lines connected to a condemned pool facility 1 block east. I think that's where he's been staging the actual holding room. Logan didn't hesitate. He sprinted from the ruined clubhouse into the dark, following an old jogging trail that looped behind the development. The air was thicker here, quieter. Even the insects had gone silent. The facility was gated, forgotten behind a stretch of broken pine. The rusted sign read private access, HOA members only. It might as well have said, welcome to hell. He bypassed the gate and approached the side of the building, noting the warped cement around the foundation heat damage, recently patched. He found a narrow metal grate near the rear. UNSCREWED. Logan slid in. Inside, it was cold. A concrete tunnel sloped down into silence, the walls damp, the air stale like something had been buried and left to rot. His footsteps echoed as he descended into the guts of the building, guided only by his flashlight and a rising tension in his gut. Then he heard it. A soft, high-pitched cry, a baby. He broke into a sprint. The tunnel ended in a steel hatch. Locked from the outside, he placed a mini charge on the hinge, covered his face, and stepped back. A small pop, then the door creaked open, and there she was, Dot, in the center of the room. Under red emergency light sat a small white crib. Inside, wrapped in a hospital blanket, was a baby girl. Logan's heart seized, but he hesitated. He moved closer, scanned the room. No movement, no heat signatures, just a baby monitor on the wall and a camera pointed at the crib. He lifted the child gently, and that's when the speaker behind him hissed, "Well played, Logan." Vin Richter's voice. Logan turned, gun raised, but the room was empty. It was a recording triggered the moment the crib was touched. "She's not yours," Vin said coldly. "Not yet. But I wanted you to see how easy it was. You underestimated me again." Then, like a cruel twist of fate, Logan heard footsteps above him. Then tires, gravel being crushed. He stepped outside, baby in arms, and saw a black SUV speeding away from the tree line. It didn't stop. No windows, no plates. Logan's mind raced. That baby girl in his arms wasn't Eliana. She had darker hair, no birthmark on her wrist. She wasn't his daughter. She was someone else's. Another victim. Another family left in darkness. And Eliana, still missing. Vin had played him. Used the clubhouse as a decoy. Baited Logan into saving the wrong child. And slipped out in the chaos. Logan's grip tightened. But he didn't lose control. He whispered to the girl, "You're safe now," and carried her to the surface. Mac was already triangulating the SUV's path. That vehicle pinged once on a highway cam heading west. But they're going dark. Again, Logan placed the girl in the arms of a medic, then turned toward the west horizon. Jaw clenched, voice like gravel. "He still has her." Mac hesitated. "Then what's the play?" Logan strapped on his vest again, stepped into the armored rig, and said, "We go dark too. 2 hours west of the last known ping." A dust trail twisted across the desert basin, barely visible under the blood-orange sky. The SUV moved like a ghost, untraceable, no plates, no GPS. But Logan Marshall wasn't chasing anymore. He was waiting. Vin Richter believed he was untouchable, a phantom with a head start. But the man forgot what kind of predator he provoked. Logan hadn't followed the SUV. He predicted the destination. A decommissioned oil field off County Route 7. Miles from civilization. No neighbors. No eyes. Just broken drills, rusted piping, and the kind of silence only evil thinks it owns. Logan arrived first. He positioned his surveillance drones in a perimeter grid, running thermal sweeps while burying motion-triggered claymores in the sand. He knew Vin's habits: always retreat to control, to power, and always with hostages to leverage. This time, there was no one left to bargain with. At 4:12 a.m., the SUV finally rolled in. Logan watched from high ground, face covered in desert camo. Heart thunderous, but still. In the back seat he saw her, Eliana, wrapped in a blanket, eyes closed, breathing. Alive. His world shrunk to that one image. Vin stepped out first, flanked by 2 bodyguards, not professionals, hired hands. Disposable. Logan took his time, marked his shots. Wind was calm. Distance, 218 yards. He clicked his comms once, code for execute. A half-second later, both guards collapsed. Tactical darts from drone launchers dropped them where they stood. Silent. Surgical. Vin froze. His hand went for the door. For Eliana. Too slow. A voice cut through the air behind him. "Move your hand, and you die." Vin turned. Logan stood 10 feet away, rifle lowered but ready, death in his eyes. I should have killed you in Kandahar, Logan growled. Vin smirked. You should have joined me. Logan advanced slowly. You're done, Vin. The fake HOA. The baby trafficking, the surveillance ring, you built it all from cowardice. You used the illusion of law to destroy families. Vin tilted his head. And yet, you're here. Just, you no badge. No SWAT. You're not saving her, Logan. You're becoming me. No, Logan said coldly. I'm becoming worse. He fired not at Vin but at the engine of the SUV. It exploded into a wall of fire, throwing Vin backward. Logan moved like thunder, diving through the smoke. He grabbed Eliana from the back seat just before the flames reached her blanket. Cradled her. Shielded her. She cried once, then recognized his scent. She stopped. Logan stepped out with her in his arms, slow and steady. Vin lay broken, coughing in the dust. Sirens echoed faintly in the distance. Mag had alerted DHS, Child Welfare, and Federal Response Units. The entire operation had been documented, broadcasted live to secure agencies. The ring was done. Logan looked down at Vin one last time. You picked the wrong house. Then he walked into the light with his daughter in his arms. 2 weeks later, Marshalls moved into a quiet cabin in northern Idaho. No HOA, no neighbors, just land and peace. Eliana slept easier. Claire smiled more. But Logan, he never really rested, because he knew this wasn't over. There would always be shadows. Always. Someone watching. And now, they knew his name, knew what he was willing to do. And what he'd never allow again. The video Mag posted clipped from Logan's body cam went viral. Fake HOA tried to steal SEAL's baby. Here's what happened next. Millions watched. Parents commented. Survivors shared their stories. And one message echoed through them all. Don't poke the quiet ones. Especially if they trained killers. Fiend.